What is up everyone, welcome back to yet another video on men's fashion trends. As you may have already guessed, we are gonna be talking about the biggest fashion trends for spring-summer 2024. Alright, before jumping in, let's look back and summarize the last season. Fall-winter 23 was all about matrix coats, skirts, strange suits, and bomber jackets, and a lot of plaids. When it comes to spring-summer 2024, menswear designers get super creative. They modernized vintage silhouettes and played a lot with various shapes and rich textures. Exciting new trends, including high-waisted pants and statement sleeves, have emerged. This season, designers also emphasizing functionality and practicality, revamping utility and workwear with modern precision. Spring-summer suits have been reimagined for maximum practicality and adaptability, giving them a seasonally appropriate twist. Alright, without further ado, here are the biggest fashion trends for spring-summer 2024. High-waisted pants are a vintage-inspired fashion trend that often evoke a sense of nostalgia. These pants accentuate waistline and typically offer a flattering, elongated silhouette. They were particularly popular in the 40s, 50s, and even 80s. Currently, they made a return with modern interpretations. We've seen a lot of menswear designers putting a modern spin on high-waisted pants, experimenting with unique cuts and detailing. A standout example can be found at Prada, where co-designers Raf Simons and Miuccia Prada seamlessly integrated high-waisted pants into their menswear collection. Drawing inspiration from 1940s menswear, Prada revitalized and modernized this trend while adhering to their signature standards. The collection at Loewe revolved around high-waisted pants. Jonathan Anderson did a study on perspective. He wanted to see how points of view define perceptions and scales, and how perceptions and scales draw silhouettes. To achieve that, he elongated the legs and raised the waist, crafting a silhouette reminiscent of the view one would see when looking upward from below through a fisheye lens. Similar to Loewe, high-waisted pants in Rick Owens' collection boasted exaggerated proportions. Their waistbands sit higher on the torso, they way above the natural waistline. They skim the leg, flaring out to drag on the floor. Apparently, Rick Owens brought back his dark elegance and combined it with a Victorian silhouette, which he has been perfecting over the past few seasons. Anthony Vaccarello at Yves Saint Laurent designed highly elegant high-waist pants. Here focus was on sensual, androgynous dressing. Exaggerated boxy shoulders were juxtaposed with fitted high-waisted pants. In his vision, the designer defined what Yves Saint Laurent could mean for modern men, whose wardrobe is shaped by the brand's womenswear line. Utility and workwear has long been intertwined with fashion. Certainly, this trend is characterized by an aesthetic that prioritizes practicality over pure style. It refers to type of clothing originally designed for functional purposes in specific work environments. And as utility has become the big buzzword in menswear, many high-end fashion brands started to incorporate functional designs into their collections, elevating them with luxurious materials and exquisite craftsmanship. Fendi truly captured this trend at its finest. Artistic director Sylvia Fendi demonstrated that functionality and practicality does not mean a lack of style. She took the opportunity and showcased the brand's new 50 million leather goods factory while honoring the skilled artisans responsible for crafting the garments. As expected from workwear-inspired collection, everything looked functional. The signature items were work aprons and functional leather skirts. Utility and workwear held equal significance at Prada, where designers infused this trend with a retro twist. We had 1940 silhouette created around functional shirts with multiple pockets and high-waisted balloon shorts. Yet another nod to the utility trend was seen in a functional vest inspired by German artist Josep Beuys. Designers honored him by reimagining his favorite utility look through Prada standards. The utility trend also made an appearance at the rebellious Italian fashion house Diesel. Here, Glenn Martins elevated utility and workwear with fabric manipulations, channeling a futuristic grunge. What appears to be cargo pants are actually cargo pockets held together by straps. Utility and workwear take on an adventurous edge at MSGM. It was inspired by the brand's artistic director's recent trip to Tanzania. Safari elements that fueled the designer's inspiration included practical designs such as workwear tops, wide-leg cargo pants, and cargo shorts. The collection also featured utility-inspired accessories and safari essentials, including camera bags, hiking hats, and rugged desert boots. MSGM models did look like safari tour guides. This trend had a military flair at Givenchy. A lot of cropped utility bombers and oversized field jackets were put on display. The military influence certainly was connected to the actual show location in Paris, the Hôtel des Invalides. It's a complex of buildings containing museums and monuments, all relating to the military history of France. We had also a wide range of functional vests and a lot of functional accessories, including backpacks, waist belts, harness belts, etc. Another big display of utility and workwear was made at Junya Watanabe. The Japanese designer infused this trend with rebellious spirit and made it look totally punk. His soldiers stormed the runway wearing utilitarian work jackets, denim overalls, construction worker pants, and other wide range of functional clothing. Junya Watanabe continues to collaborate with the workwear and utility brands he treasures, including Levi's, Carhartt, and Filson. Last but not least, this trend was also explored at Ed Maynor. Looks like the challenge of reinventing traditional workwear inspires Maynor's creativity. Once again, he toyed with oversized cuts and proportions. Within a lineup of strong statement pieces, Maynor's biggest hits were utility jackets and vests. It's a part of the body in a functional way, and you don't need to carry any other accessories, explained Ed Maynor. The no pants trend for men is real. It's also known as pantless trend and refers to a style where traditional pants are intentionally skipped. This massive women's wear trend that started in 2023 has now found its way into menswear. This trend seems more conservative and reserved when adapted to menswear. It appears that men are not entirely comfortable revealing their underwear just yet. Instead, men choose to conceal it under coats and long outwear. Kim Jones experimented with this trend at Dior. He sent out a wide range of looks without pants, consisting of tweed overcoats coupled with white socks and Dior sandals. It appears that absence of pants allowed Kim Jones to dedicate more attention to headwear. He collaborated with millionaire Stefan Jones to design cyberpop-inspired beanies adorned with velvet flowers. The no pants trend was indeed prominent at Prada. Here, artistic designers reimagined traditional shirts as full-length coats. These coats can be worn without pants to make a bold statement, or paired with a functional vest for a more elevated appearance. The no pants trend gets a functional twist at Fendi. Models wear utility aprons layered under coats. At JW Anderson, models wear boxy leather coats without pants, coupled with high platform clogs. Certainly, one of the biggest displays of this trend was made at Maison Margiela. Models walked the runway pantless with a variety of outwear and knee-high white socks. These socks were reminiscent of the fashion of the colonial era. We had the legendary tabby design of the house with new designs including tabby shoes and tabby ballet flats. At Wales Banner, all you need is an overcoat and a pair of sandals, and you are good to go. It's as simple as that, effortless, stylish, and easy. A similar attitude and state of mind is shared by Ed Maynor. It seems that stylishness requires nothing more than long outwear and a pair of sandals. Ed Maynor showcased yet another pantless look featuring an elongated top and oversized blazer. When it comes to suits, menswear designers come up with something new and exciting every season. This time, short suits take the spotlight. They are a contemporary fashion trend that pairs suit jackets with shorts instead of pants. Short suits offer a blend of formal and casual elements, making them suitable for warmer weather or less formal occasions, while maintaining a tailored and polished appearance. At Prada, short suits were inspired by 1940s menswear. Raf Simons said the vintage silhouette was modernized through Prada standards. Short suits come with functional touch at Fendi. They are complemented with multi-pocketed leather skirts. At Valentino, short suits strike a balance between formal and summer-ready. Here, Pier Paolo Piccioli redefined the masculine identity and liberated men from predetermined boxes. The designer's starting point was classic masculine garments, which he subtly subverted through a gentle approach. He softened the proportions of boxy blazers, replaced pants with brief shorts and skirts, and embroidered flowers on lapels. Jil Sander, the designer, may have been the ultimate minimalist, but Jil Sander, the brand, is minimalist no more. Artistic co-directors Lucy and Luke Meyer said that they wanted to explore shapes. They crafted suit jackets as boxy as squares and paired them with sailor collar shirts and shorts to accentuate the silhouette. Short suits took center stage at Louis Vuitton, where Pharrell Williams showcased an extensive variety in fits and styles. The show was amongst the biggest Paris has ever seen by any metric. Short suits at Maison Margiela were reminiscent of colonial suits from 18th century, which John Galliano modernized and elevated to meet Maison Margiela's distinctive standards. Short suits are not limited to one gender, offering a stylish and gender-neutral alternative to traditional formal attire. Neil Barrett pulled inspiration from the minimalism he pioneered in the 90s. Here, light and soft short suits were juxtaposed against heavy paddle boots. At Zegna, there was a diverse selection of short suits featuring modern designs and tweaks. The ultimate goal was to find perfect uniform that would not feel like conventional and traditional uniform like a classic suit. It's based on the idea of creating a system of elements that can be combined and self-styled however one prefers. It's the idea of the uniform that prompts non-uniformity, explained Alessandro Sartori. Short suits were also spotted at Dries Van Noten. Belgian designer explained that he wanted to make them look elegant, masculine, and young at the same time. Once again, his instinct for colors stays unmatched and unconventional. This season, almost every menswear designer decided to reinvent polo shirts. The reason is simple. Polo shirt is appreciated for its versatility, comfort, and ability to strike a balance between casual and semi-formal dressing. While it may evoke a sense of nostalgia, polo shirt still remains a relevant and sought-after garment in contemporary fashion. Polo shirts at Dior had a distinct and bold appearance. They featured vibrant colors like neon green, yellow, also orange, and blue. Here, polo shirts were integral in elevating the Dior suits, adding a pop of color to an otherwise neutral and muted ensembles. Polo shirts at Diesel featured appealing paint effect, underlining that Diesel is all about the moment and individuality. At Prada, polo shirts came with special twist. They had strange details like furry tufts sprouting from shoulders and back. The styling was super casual, incorporating pickup boxers and denim pants. Polo tops were entirely covered in crystals at Loewe. They were color-matched with the pants beneath. This season, Jonathan Anderson experimented with silhouettes that he created with shrunken torso and elongated legs. At Hermes, polo shirts were designed with a relatively deeper V-cut, allowing for more versatility when it comes to styling. It was a great example of blending the comfort of a casual garment with refined details and superior quality of high-end fashion brand. Dolce & Gabbana showcased a refined alternative to traditional polo shirts, suitable for occasions that require a touch of sophistication. The standout piece was undoubtedly the black sheer polo shirt, designed for fashion-savvy individuals who embrace more daring style. At Isabel Marant, polo shirts had a lot of texture, providing more depth and dimension to the garment. Textured polo shirts emerge as a visually interesting alternative that can be super versatile in various occasions. Extra long sleeves emerge as a new and strange trend, where sleeves on tops, shirts or jackets are intentionally elongated. They extend well beyond the wrists and create a dramatic and distinctive look. Certainly, this trend makes a bold fashion statement, adding a distinct element of style and uniqueness to an outfit. At Prada, extra long sleeves are incorporated in almost every look. It was one of the main components that designers used to create an idea of fluid architecture around the human body. Extra long sleeves were everywhere at Dolce & Gabbana. The Italian designers experimented with various shapes and style. Here, the length of the sleeves often extends significantly beyond the wrist, covering models' fingertips entirely. This trend was incorporated seamlessly in classic designs with contemporary cuts and details, demonstrating the brand's ability to blend tradition and innovation seamlessly. Another big display of extra-long sleeves was done at Rick Owens. Here, the starting point was a Victorian silhouette, which Rick has been perfecting over the past few seasons. The signature silhouette was taken to the next level by extra-long, skinny sleeves. They created a contrast that further emphasized and exaggerated the shapes and silhouette. At Balenciaga, Demna reminded us that polished shows are not his style and that he liked more genuine and rough aesthetic. His surreal tailoring featured extra-long statement sleeves, which certainly underlined his love for the subversive and anti-establishment codes that he was known for prior to Balenciaga. Dries Van Noten also incorporated this trend into his designs. He presented a few knits and utility jackets featuring extra-long sleeves. Alright, not everyone might find this trend suitable, but for those seeking a daring and bold fashion statement, it could be the perfect choice. Camo prints, distinctive patterns inspired by military camouflage, emerge as a fashion trend. Thanks to menswear designers, camo prints have transitioned from military use to mainstream fashion. It appears that designers used camo prints as a form of protest against ongoing wars and conflicts around the world. Pharrell Williams at Louis Vuitton blended his models into the surroundings. His tech-inspired pixelated camouflage has blurred boundaries and introduced a new perspective to the renowned Parisian fashion house. Pharrell demonstrated how versatile this trend can be, showcasing its adaptability in both streetwear-inspired and more formal ensembles. At Balenciaga, models walked the runway dressed in military camo jackets and matching cargo pants. Demna loves incorporating camo prints Due to the rebellious and subversive nature, it certainly aligns well with his aesthetics that challenges traditional fashion norms and embraces a sense of defiance. Camo prints were also embraced by Marin Sur, young designer known for her eco-futuristic garments. After working for Demna Gvasalia, she launched her eponymous label and garnered a cult following for blending couture and sportswear lines. Anyways, camo prints have made a big comeback, bringing rugged and adventurous vibes to fashion. Draped tops have gone truly mainstream this season. They utilize fabric manipulation techniques to create flowing or gathered sections. They include pleating, twisting, or folding of fabric to achieve the draped effect. They come in various necklines such as cowl necks, V-necks, off-shoulder designs, or halter necks. The most prominent display of this trend we saw at Dolce & Gabbana, where designers unveiled impeccable garments focusing on timeless clothing and recognizable legacy. T-shirts and tops were crafted using draperies resembling sculpted statues. These artistic elements added a unique architectural quality and created captivating visual effects. All these draperies were inspired by the pagan gods of Magna Graecia and the ancient Sicilian statuary. This season, Rick Owens discovered a fresh new interest in draped tops. His asymmetrical and sculptural pieces wrap, twist, and drape around the model's upper torso. How one handles adversity is what defines one's character, said Rick Owens. Capturing this attitude and state of mind, his designs exuded a restrained formality and black, determined elegance. Jonathan Anderson explored draped sleeveless tops at Loewe. They had asymmetrical necklines and a sculptural appearance. Draped tops have this innate ability to infuse an outfit with effortless elegance while boasting unique design elements. Anthony Vaccarello showcased a diverse range of draped tops at Yves Saint Laurent. He explored various necklines, including cowl necks, halter necks, and off-shoulder designs. Backstage, the designer revealed that he began developing this collection by imagining how his Fall 23 women's wear collection would look worn by men. As a result, we had a fluid interaction between components that are traditionally seen as masculine and feminine. Jumpsuits have become a popular fashion choice due to their versatility, convenience, and ability to make a bold statement in various settings. That's why this interesting garment remained prominent on the runways over the past few seasons. At Fendi, jumpsuits had a practical and functional appearance. The standout piece was a hybrid piece, half apron and half overall. It was meant to pay the homage to the artisans who actually craft the items. According to Silvia Fendi, in fashion, everything is all about the designer, and that's what she wanted to change. She wanted to spotlight the artisans crafting these items and reveal the environments they work in. At Hetero, Marco De Vincenzo showcased highly elegant jumpsuits suitable for evening gatherings or even small parties. He also presented more casual and practical versions suitable for more informal settings. Kiko Konstantinov, the Bulgarian designer, presented an elegant version of jumpsuits featuring a defined waist with buttons and sleeveless design. At Diesel, practicality and functionality is pushed to the max. Here, zip-up denim tops, pants, and skirts can be worn separately or zippered together to make jumpsuits. At Loewe, Jonathan Anderson brings a touch of sophistication to this trend, offering a refined and elegant interpretation of this one-piece garment. Minimalistic approach, luxurious leather, and monochromatic tones amplified its elegance and sophistication. Tailored jumpsuits at Givenchy embraced a modern minimalist aesthetic. Sadly, it's a last collection from Matthew Williams. He will be departing from Givenchy after 3 years in the role. This season, corporate attire is having its moment. This is especially true for shirts. Almost every menswear designer put formal shirts at the heart of their collections. They experimented with unique fits, designs, and shapes, modernizing this classic attire to meet contemporary fashion standards. Designers aim to make formal shirts wearable beyond business environments and suitable for everyday wear. At Dolce & Gabbana, designers showcased this trend with massively oversized formal shirts that featured giant cuffs. At Ed Manor, formal shirts boasted a special distress effect, characterized by wrinkles and a slightly rumpled texture. Ed Manor called these dad's shirts, boring clothes that he gave a new personality. It's a different kind of manipulation, the designer said in an interview. The clothes are linked to a technique that's not high-tech, but rather humble. Formal shirts had their moment also at Burberry. The fashion giant has been trying to regain its momentum in the luxury market for some time. It's unfortunate that even with Daniel Lee in charge, the brand sales did not see a significant boost. At Prada, a shirt was a point of departure in almost every outfit. Formal shirts were essential to the 1940s-inspired ensembles. Alongside these formal shirts, we had variations with a functional twist featuring multiple pockets. It's intriguing how the structure and details of a shirt became the foundation to transform an entire range of menswear. Formal shirts were everywhere at Valentino. Here, Peter Paolo Piccioli re-examined the notion of masculinity. He took classic masculine garments like formal shirts and softened and eased their appearance. Transformed context can shift perception, so formal shirts, once emblematic of power and success, can now be worn by a new generation as an expression of individuality. At J.W. Anderson, the Irish designer once again transforms our perception through his designs. He elongated the front placket of a shirt, showcasing how banal and ordinary garments such as formal shirt can be transformed into something more. Additionally, he cut formal shirts into a super cropped style and spiced it up with a band collar. Jonathan Anderson pushes this trend further at Loewe. This time, he experimented with banker shirts, the trademark of a well-dressed, ultra-formal man. These shirts have contrasting colors and cuffs with button closure. They are much loved by stock analysts, lawyers, and bankers. Loewe models look like off-duty bankers taking a stroll or heading out for a weekend shopping. At Yves Saint Laurent, Anthony Vaccarello presented broad-shouldered shirts with sculptural quality. He successfully managed to define a contemporary men's identity, creating an alluring balance of seductiveness, elegance, and formality. Sheer looks and see-through clothing had a major moment on the spring-summer runways. This trend includes clothes crafted from lace, mesh, or sheer fabric that reveals the wearer's body underneath. See-through clothing is a popular choice when it comes to spring-summer fashion. They can be often a fashion statement, adding an element of sensuality and femininity to an outfit. A big presentation of see-through clothing was done at Endemol Mister. Sheer elements and see-through fabrics were incorporated into a wide range of garments, including various tops and skirts. It appears that Stefano Gallicci, who replaced Ludovic de Saint-Cerne after just 6 months, does have a decent handle on Endemol Mister signature coats. We had another big display of see-through clothing at Dolce & Gabbana. The collection titled Style flawlessly blended traditional tailoring with see-through clothing. All the transparencies with sculpted flowers adorned radiated a pure elegance and a touch of femininity. At Hermes, the collection used breezy volumes and light fabrications. Véronique Nichanian designed shirts using sheer cotton with a lattice-like mesh. Apart from shirts, we had transparent suit jackets designed specifically for spring-summer. See-through clothing was also spotted at Isabelle Marant. The French designer demonstrated how this trend can offer a unique way to play with fashion. It can also allow for artistic expression and great versatility in styling. This season, Dries Van Noten challenged himself to make outfits that would be masculine, young, and elegant at the same time. He completed the challenge easily by using transparent garments and his delicious color combos. Yves Saint Laurent unveiled a wide range of sheer tops. Here the brand's signature rock and roll edge is elevated by incorporating sheer fabrics, offering a rebellious and daring twist to classic silhouettes. If you guys suddenly decided to join a football or rugby club, you are not alone. Designers felt this urge too. Spring-summer runways were packed with football and rugby-inspired tops. While the concept may seem basic, sportswear has become increasingly of interest within the luxury fashion. As a result, many menswear designers have tried to capture the momentum, incorporating this trend into their collections. At D-Square, Dean & Dan did Y2K Rewind of all the codes that the brand established over the past 2 decades. They mix football and rugby-inspired aesthetics with their bold, edgy, and glamorous style. At J.W. Anderson, a lot of rugby-inspired shirts were put on display. Jonathan's dad, Willie Anderson, served as a captain in Ireland's rugby union team, and that must have been a source of inspiration for the designer. At Etro, Marco De Vincenzo presented football-inspired tops. They featured prints inspired by allegorical images from 17th century book by Cesare Ripa. The designer found this book by chance in the library in his hometown in Sicily. If you're after luxury sportswear, head to Louis Vuitton. Pharrell Williams showcased a wide range of football jerseys and rugby-inspired tops, offering a fashionable twist on athletic attire. Purple tones are finally a thing of the past. This season, the runways were dominated by 4 colors: green, orange, blue, and red. Among these 4, green emerged as the winner. Not surprisingly, designers gravitated towards the color that is closely associated with spring and nature-inspired palette. The runways were packed with various shades of green, ranging from bold and vibrant hues to more subdued and muted ones. At Fendi, green tones were everywhere, mostly muted tones such as olive, sage, and moss dominated the runway. They perfectly complemented and enhanced functional-oriented attire. At Dior, Kim Jones embraced vibrant and bold tones such as neon green. He used it as a pop of color and energizing element across many garments, especially Dior suits. At Ferragamo, Maximilian Davis opted for deeper and richer tones. By the way, he was named as a British Womenswear Designer of the Year at the Fashion Awards in London. Matthew Williams opted for military greens at Givenchy. He showcased a tailored suit inspired by Eisenhower jacket. Dwight Eisenhower was an American military officer who served as the 34th President of the United States. Green tones harmonize seamlessly with neutrals like black, gray, or brown and beige, offering designers more space to explore various creative combinations. This point was demonstrated well by Neil Barrett. At Versace, Donatella experimented with neon greens. It appears that she utilized green as a statement color, incorporating it into key pieces such as suits, coats, and even accessories. Green tones took center stage at Comme des Garçons, channeling lush greenery and the awakening power of nature. It was a great demonstration how the use of green in fashion can signify a sense of innovation and modernity. At Louis Vuitton, Pharrell experimented with various shades of green, from vibrant and bold to subdued and muted ones. This season, the color green has emerged as a versatile and fashionable choice, reflecting an appreciation for the nature and sustainability as well. Speaking of sustainability, green color is often associated with eco-friendliness, environmental consciousness, and other ethical fashion practices. This season, menswear designers were particularly fascinated by textures. Normally, textures are more associated to fall-winter fashion rather than spring-summer. Regardless, designers played a lot with a variety of textures to create visual interest and to add depth and richness to the garments. The most prominent display of this trend was spotted at Dior. Kim Jones took tweed, the traditionally ladies' material, and gave it the Dior treatment. This trend was mostly translated into tweed suits and tweed cardigans. At Etro, the brand's deeply saturated color palette was paired with a variety of textures, this to create a visual interest and enhance the overall aesthetic of the garments. One of the standout pieces on the runway was a fuzzy pullover, which brought to mind a textured Anatolian rug. Jonathan Anderson is always on the lookout for new ideas when it comes to exploring new material and fabric. This season he played with textured textiles and designed such an attractive and entertaining pieces. Probably the Oscar in this category goes to knitwear with balls of yarn. Moreover, we had knits in a mesh that vaguely resembled fruit bags and old-school collapsible shopping totes. Oddly enough, they were inspired by 70s couch that Jonathan Anderson has it in his office. Other memorable items included fuzzy knit sweaters inspired by Muppets. Rich textures were used at Fendi to show off artistry and creativity. Textures in fashion allow designers to showcase their craftsmanship and experiment with unexpected combinations that at the end of the day translate into unique and innovative designs. At Bottega, textures were used to elevate a wide range of garments. It's so unusual though to see this trend in spring-summer. Typically, heavier textures can evoke a feeling of coziness and are closely associated with fall-winter. Last but not least, textures are embraced by Pharrell at Louis Vuitton. He demonstrated that texture is a versatile tool in fashion design, allowing for endless possibilities in creating visually stimulating and expressive clothing. Flowers for the spring-summer season are not exactly a novel concept, yet designers still find themselves drawn to it. Somehow they often feel compelled to incorporate them to their spring-summer collections. Anyways, this season we saw an abundance of flower designs, floral patterns, and flower pins. At Valentino, Pier Paolo Piccioli redefined the masculine identity and liberated men from predetermined boxes. He softened the traditionally masculine garments by using flower motifs. The designer demonstrated that flowers are a versatile motif and can be used in various styles. They can be also interpreted in a myriad of ways to suit different aesthetics. Dolce & Gabbana made another grand showcase of flowers. The collection was saturated with floral elements and flower motifs, perhaps to introduce a softer and more sensual dimension to the overall aesthetic. Designers particularly favored flower pins. They placed sculpted flowers on the lapels to enhance classic suits and traditional tailoring. Flower pins were also a big thing at Dior. They were featured in a wide range of garments, particularly in tweed suits and overcoats. Flower motifs have stood the test of time in fashion, being continuously reinvented and reintroduced in different styles, making them a classic and super popular choice. At Prada, designers decorated shirts with 3D origami blooms. Additionally, they showcase floral Hawaiian shirts with lengthy fringe, evoking a sense of fluidity and dynamism. Again, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video and got something out of it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.